Jane Foster's The Mighty Thor is getting her own spin-off series on Disney+. Now, before we go any further in this video, we got to give a huge spoiler warning for Thor: Love and Thunder. If you haven't seen this movie yet, please go away, go enjoy the movie. It's a whole lot of fun. Check out my non-spoiler review, and then come back to this video after, because there's some big spoiler stuff going on here. So, if you did watch the movie, which, again, hopefully, if you're still here, you have, you may be a little confused by this. How are we getting a Jane Foster series on Disney Plus if she died at the end of the movie? Well, that of course then ties into our end credit scene where we did see Jane Foster come into Valhalla and meet Idris Elba's Heimdall. So yes, she is indeed dead, but there's still potential for her future. Because in the comics, there were actually times where she did die, she went to Valhalla, and then just came back to life as the Mighty Thor. So, I mean, I suppose that's a possibility. I kind of hope it's not, because that'd just be a major cop-out of her death in this movie, and it was done so well, especially since, like, half the characters in this movie almost died and then didn't. So, I wanted to stay dead, but I still do really want this Disney Plus series. But how could it work, and where's this news even coming from? So this is actually a really old report that Jane Foster was getting a Mighty Thor spin-off series on Disney+. But then recently, Great Phase, a newer scooper who's been pretty reliable so far, retweeted that post, claiming that that is still the case, even with her death in the movie. So how? Is she going to be the Mighty Thor in Valhalla? No, because, she died as Mighty Thor in the battlefield fighting Gore, but when she came to Valhalla, she was just regular old Jane Foster, cured of her cancer, luckily, but she's, still dead. So, how are they going to make this work? Well, in the comics, when Jane Foster went to Valhalla, she became a Valkyrie. And the Valkyries, of course, we have our Tessa Thompson Valkyrie in the MCU, but she's alive. The majority of Valkyries, their job is to transport fallen Asgardian warriors to Valhalla after they die on the battlefield. So that is what Jane Foster kind of adapts to doing in the comics. She gets this really cool Valkyrie outfit and armor. She also gets this crazy weapon, which I'm still not exactly sure how it's pronounced, because it's just spelt really weird and silent letters, all that stuff. But I think it's called the underarm, and basically the underarm allows Jane Foster to form any weapon she can imagine out of this golden energy. And it's really cool. If you've seen some shots from the comics, she has golden wings, golden swords, axes, just some really cool golden tools that I honestly think would be visually really awesome to see in live action. And on top of that, of course, another iconic part of Valkyrie is her Pegasus. We've seen Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie on her Pegasus, but in the comics, Jane Foster Valkyrie also has a Pegasus, but this one talks. So just imagine that. A Disney Plus series, Jane Foster as the Valkyrie, with golden wings, golden weapons, flying a talking Pegasus. That would just be amazing. And then on top of that, you bring in the fact that she just met Idris Elba's Heimdall, so Heimdall could be a part of this series as well, because Heimdall was he's kind of wasted in the Thor movies, and then of course he died in Infinity War in the first 5 minutes. So bring him in as a major supporting character here, and that could work really well. You could see some great stories being told there, because obviously I love Jane Foster as the Mighty Thor, but especially seeing as where things are now with Thor being a dad and her big heroic sacrifice, it doesn't really work to have two Thors at once. They never had that in the comics, or at least when they did, it just didn't work very well. So this way you can have both characters being superheroes, just, one is alive and in the real world, and then one is dead and still being a hero in Valhalla. And I think that's going to be really cool and really speaks to her character. And there's also times in the comics where even as a Valkyrie, she's still using her scientific knowledge and stuff. And Natalie Portman's just great actress, so bring her back for more. Of course, I'd be up for that. Same goes for Idris Elba. And of course, you can also bring back some other dead characters from the MCU as well. Bring back Odin, maybe a little Frigga, the Warriors 3, Loki. Loki, I think, would be a great character bringing here as well, because Loki, our main MCU Loki, not the one that got the Disney Plus series, because that is the variant from Avengers Endgame, but the Loki that died in Avengers Infinity War, technically he died in battle, he made his self-sacrifice, so likely he would be in Valhalla. And I mean, why not? Like, literally a team up of Jane Foster as the Valkyrie in Valhalla with Heimdall and Loki. That would be awesome. And I know a lot of people want that original Loki back, but he's very dead. So this is a way to get him back. You can see him, he's still dead, but alive in the afterlife. I think that would be really cool and definitely a lot of fun. But anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about this idea of a Jane Foster, not really Mighty Thor, but Mighty Valkyrie series on Disney Plus, with taking place in the afterlife with Valhalla? I think it'd be really cool. And sure, that post-credit scenes could have just been to show that, like, hey, she made it to Valhalla, she met up with Heimdall, she's living a good life now, or possibly is setting up something like this Disney Plus series. But anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and hit the subscribe button so I can keep up to date on everything goes on in the Marvel life.